Hey, I'm Beth, and this is my dog, Maggie, and my cat, Zac Efron, because he's a super handsome guy. I'm here to talk to you about your nervous system and how we're really no different from Maggie and Zac. And I'm going to start by using myself as an example. So right now, I'm presenting. And what do you think I'm feeling? Anxious, right? How do I know this? Well, let me scan my body and see what sensations I notice. Tension in the jaw. My heart's beating fast. I'm hot, sweaty. Knees are a little weak. Feeling jittery all over. In my head, I'm thinking, what if I freeze? What if I forget what I'm supposed to say? What if they laugh at me or boo? Or worse of all, they just don't listen. They tune me out. Anybody else ever have those thoughts or sensations in their bodies? Sometimes it's confusing and overwhelming to be in a body and understand what's going on. Maybe you ask yourself, am I crazy? Or people have said to you, you're crazy. Well, you're actually not crazy. So let's get under the hood a little bit and figure out what's going on and what we can do about it. Okay, so let's start by understanding animals in general, not just humans, right? All animals' brains are always scanning for danger, but it's automatic and we really don't think about it. It's kind of like breathing. So what happens when we perceive danger? Well, we defend ourselves, basically in three ways. If our brain assesses the situation and thinks a win is possible, we fight. If our brain says, no way, we can't win this fight, we run away or flee. Or if we're in overwhelming danger and our brain says, no way we can win and no way we can run away, we freeze in mid-motion or we play dead, depending on the situation. This whole process is automatic. It takes only microseconds, and really we just have no control over it. Let me show you. I'm going to invite you to just notice my face. I'm going to smile, and I want you to notice what you see or what you feel in your body as you look at my face. And then I'm going to change my expression. I want you to notice what happens in your body. Are you ready? What did you notice? Anybody notice a little pullback, a little tension? You see how automatic that is? So we really don't need to make meaning out of the sensations in our body or how our nervous system reacts. We don't need to feel bad about it. It's just how our body works. We're just doing animal things as animals. All right. So let's look at this same idea, but I'm going to use a ladder analogy and give some examples of how this might show up for you all. At the top of the ladder is our calm, connected state, right? We feel happy, content, at ease. We can learn and think, and we're social, right? Think of those moments when you laugh with friends, eat an ice cream cone, surf a wave, win a game, pet your dog, see the sunrise. We feel good, normal. Then, when we perceive danger, we move down the ladder and move into our active defenses, fight or flight. This state has a lot of energy associated with it. We might feel angry, afraid, anxious. We might worry, blame, or yell. This might be the moment that we yell at our mom, right? Because she wants us to sign up for these hard classes and we're afraid we're going to fail. Or when we call a parent to come pick us up from a party because we don't know anybody and we're uncomfortable. That's a flee, right? We're running away. Or maybe when we blame our little brother for embarrassing us at the football game, fight. Or we keep procrastinating on that big project for history class, flee. Maybe we obsessively worry about failing a test or upsetting a friend, or we never talk in big groups because we're afraid we're going to say something stupid or the wrong thing. Those are all flee. Then if we can't leave or fight, we freeze. We feel shut down, collapsed, heavy. So you're in class, right? And the teacher calls on you and you've been like doodling and daydreaming. Your brain does some quick calculations. You can't run. You can't fight. So you freeze. Your brain shuts down. You stare at that teacher blankly and you barely remember where you are, let alone the answer to any question she might have. Or maybe we answer, I don't know, all the time. Or maybe we just want to crawl under the blankets, just hide. Maybe we just don't feel any motivation at all to finish a project, do homework, or even go to class. Maybe we forget things all the time or space out. So the interesting thing about this ladder is that to get to that feel good, right, connected state, you have to work up the ladder. If you're frozen, you have to go through fight or flight to reach connection. So you might notice that you feel really stuck and low, and then feel irritable, and then feel bad about feeling irritable, and go back to being stuck. Or maybe you feel so tired all the time, but then you start to notice you're worrying. It feels like you drank 5 Red Bulls, and then you freak out about feeling like that. And then you refuse to come out of your room. This is because you're going from freeze to fight or flight, and then back to freeze. If you can recognize that you're on your way up the ladder, and this is normal and just your nervous system doing its thing, you can then continue up the ladder to that happy, connected state. All right, so let's talk about how much stress we can handle at any given time. This is called our window of tolerance. When we think clearly and feel our feelings at the same time, we're inside our window of tolerance. This is when you have emotions, you can feel regulated, they feel manageable. You might be angry or sad, but you can handle it, right? The size of our window of tolerance changes all the time, depending on our stress load and what's happening around us. It's also determined by a bunch of other factors, which might change or not, like age. When we're little, like 3, we can't handle as much stress as we can right now, right? At your age. And I might be able to handle more stress than you are just because I'm older. Or what if we're sick? We broke our arm, or we're depressed. We won't be able to handle as much stress. And family stressors. What if our parents are fighting, or there's a lot of tension with siblings? What if there's substance abuse or divorce? That all affects our stress load. Social and economic inequalities also affect how much stress we can handle, right? And the more oppressed groups we belong to, the bigger our stress load is. If we feel lonely or that we don't belong, this also affects how much stress we can handle. Even genetics, like how much stress our parents endured during their lives, affects our stress capacity. But we don't need to feel ashamed or shame others by how much stress we or they can handle. Everyone's stress capacity is their own experience. You do you also refers to everyone's window of tolerance. So if someone says to you, you should be able to handle this, or maybe you even say this to yourself, maybe consider all these factors and stop the shaming. All right, let's talk a little bit more about our window of tolerance and what happens when we go outside our window. So emotions go up and down, right? That's normal. When we're in our window of tolerance, we're okay. We're the best versions of ourselves. We're clear, calm, curious, connected, grounded, regulated. But when there's a stressor or many stressors, We might go above our window of tolerance and become hyper aroused, overwhelmed, angry, panicky, anxious, right? That fight or flight experience. Or we might go below the window and become hypo-aroused, numb, shut down, depressed, disconnected. We might sleep all the time, eat. When we go outside our window of tolerance, a few things happen in our brains and bodies. Our brain sounds the alarm and releases a bunch of chemicals to alert and activate your heart, legs, arms to either fight or flight. It also turns off your thinking brain because the thinking brain is slower than the rest of your brain. If there's danger, we need to act and react quickly. If our thinking brains are turned off, though, we're not rational, right? We can't think clearly. We can't learn either. This is where people might say, oh man, you crazy. Well, you aren't rational, that's for sure, but you're not crazy. It's completely useless, though, to try to talk logically to someone who's outside their window of tolerance. Same goes for animals. You can't talk reason or control a dog who's being attacked by another dog or is feeling threatened, right? I can't control Maggie if there's another dog running around. She's not going to listen to me. So let's look at what animals do to re-regulate themselves. All right, if you have a pet, you're going to see this sequence a lot. A dog can switch states from being completely asleep, yes, look how cute he is, to alert and defend, and then after a good shake, back to sleep super quickly. But we don't seem to do that, right? Humans don't do that. We don't switch states that easily. We sometimes get stuck in states. Why is this? Well, the first problem is that we're aware of ourselves. We actually can think about the fact that we're thinking. Dogs, they just think. The second problem is that we're very focused on doing and not being. Dogs, they just are. What do I mean by doing? Well, problem solving, completing tasks, cleaning our room, finishing our homework, eating, mowing the lawn, driving somewhere, learning, blah, blah, blah. Both learning and focusing on doing get in the way of helping us get back into our window of tolerance, where we can actually think and do all these things. Why? We cannot think our way through emotion or distress. We must feel our way through. And feeling happens in the body. Just like dogs, we need to handle stress in our bodies. It's a physical thing. And yes, some intense shaking is a good way to let some of that energy go. All right, here's some ways that you can use to regulate your body if you're outside the window of tolerance. My favorite, laugh. So if I just start laughing hysterically up here, by the way, you're just going to follow. Eventually, you'll all start tittering, and then you'll be like looking around, and then everyone starts laughing. It releases tons of oxytocin, which is a hormone in your brain. It makes us feel great. How about yoga exercise, right? We go for a run, we do a yoga class, feels pretty good. Breathing, right? Different types of breathing, mindfulness, being aware, meditation. Rocking, just back and forth, side to side. Shaking. You can shake your whole body to some music. Dancing, really good way to regulate your nervous system. Eating crunchy snacks, just like carrots, right? Just eat some carrots or pretzels, nuts, all really helpful. Cold water. If you're really dysregulated, jump in a cold shower or a tub, or submerge your face in 30 seconds in a bowl full of ice water. Trust me, you'll get regulated. Drumming or rhythm. You can time this with the rocking too, right? Or humming, mantra, anything like that. We can also use something called progressive muscle relaxation, which is a technique where you're scanning your body from head to toe or toe to head, either way. And you start with each muscle, and on an inhale, you tense. And on the exhale, you release. And you just work your way through all the muscles in your body. Really helpful. And then really using your senses, right? I like this technique. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's 5 things you see that you really look at, 4 things you can feel, 3 things that you can hear, 2 that you smell, and 1 that you can taste. You can even bite into a lemon. Now, all these things are in the present, right? They're not doing necessarily, they're being, right? We're not thinking here. We're using our bodies. And I really encourage you guys to start from where you are. So for example, if you're really worked up and you're in fight or flight, outside your window of tolerance, you're going to need something equally intense, right? Something with a lot of energy. So say we'll pick yoga as an example. You might do a bunch of sun salutations, or exercise, a bunch of jumping jacks, running. And if you're sad and heavy and you're in freeze, these strategies are going to be a little too intense, right? So you're going to want to tone that down and start with something mellow. So if they say you pick yoga again, you're going to start with a child's pose. If you're running or exercise, maybe you start with a slow walk and work your way up to a jog after you've warmed up. So, and then there's one more way that I want to talk about a little bit even further, and that's somatic tracking. So what does this mean? This means to track or watch the sensations in our bodies without judgment or expectation, right? I like to say, hold the bird. What does that mean? Do you guys ever see a bird that flies into a plate glass window and then it just like sort of falls to the ground stunned? Well, that bird is experiencing a freeze response. If you ever get to see that, you should watch that bird go through the freeze release. There's nothing to do really but wait for the bird to just release the freeze. And that's going to just take time. We just hold the bird and wait and watch. So we can also track the sensations in our own bodies. We just hold the bird. All right, so let me go over a few things that are important to know about the sensations in your body. So first, sensation like emotion follows a bell curve, okay? It builds up, peaks, then releases. But most of the time, we don't get past the buildup. Most of the time, many of us check out before we get to the peak, right? It gets a little intense. We're like, go do something, text a friend, watch some videos, play video games, smoke some weed, get on TikTok. I get it, right? Those sensations are uncomfortable. So why do I bother feeling them? Well, when we don't feel them, we get stuck. We get stuck outside our window of tolerance, stuck in a dysregulated state. We're either numbed, shut down, hypervigilant, and anxious or angry. And I would assume most of you don't want to get stuck. What you want to feel is happy, free, open, confident, clear, calm, safe. You want to laugh. You want to play, learn, and live. So what stands in our way of feeling and just tracking sensations? Well, oftentimes it's feelings about our feelings and not being in the moment, right? We think about those sensations. We think those sensations mean something's wrong with us, right? Like, oh, what is this in my heart? Oh, something's wrong with me. I have to go to the doctor. Oh, or I don't want this. I'm trying to get away from it. It's uncomfortable. I can't handle it. Or it's never going to end. If I start crying, I'm never going to stop. And I'm going to lose control of it. And it's going to be everywhere. And then I'm the only one feeling like this. And then I'm just going to never belong. People will make fun of me or think I'm weak. Yep, I get it. But there's nothing wrong with us. We're normal animals, and we all have the same nervous system set up. And yes, it is uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like it will overwhelm us. And that's why we have all those amazing regulating options that I just talked about. And I wonder if there's a more helpful option in the way that we approach the emotions and sensations in our bodies. What if we looked at them instead with curiosity? What is this sensation? Kind of like how you might look at a cool butterfly or hold the bird. Maybe if we could practice compassion in how we see ourselves and our nervous systems, like the softening we see when we see an injured kitten or puppy. I mean, look at that kitten. This is the way we can look at ourselves. Maybe we could think about accepting what we're feeling, because honestly, we don't have a choice. It's there. You got to feel it. You got to go through. You can't go around. Trust me, I wish it was different. So let's bring some curiosity, compassion, and acceptance on a safari with us in our journey to track sensation in our bodies. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to do, and we're going to practice doing some somatic tracking. Let's start with the top of your head and scan down until you come to a sensation. You can close your eyes if you want, if that's helpful, but you don't have to. Maybe you don't even need to scan and a sensation's right there, begging for attention. It's okay, notice that one. Okay, so now notice the sensation. Bring that curiosity, compassion, and acceptance. Just watching, holding the bird. What do you notice? Does it have a color? Does it have a defined edge? Is it dense or spongy? Is it heavy or light? Does it move? Is it changing? As you ask yourself these questions, you might notice that it does indeed change, even in the slightest way. Do you notice that bell curve happening? That the sensation is actually increasing? Do you notice that one of the feelings about feelings showed up, took you offline? There's no right answer to these questions, but if you keep practicing, you're going to notice that it does follow a bell curve and that it does come to an end. Something you might also notice is a release. Crying or shaking or sweating. That's okay and normal. We are animals after all. Sometimes, though, we might need a different approach, especially if we find it hard to tolerate the sensations in our bodies. So one way of helping you feel those sensations is to pendulate back and forth between a resource and the sensation. And you can apply this technique to anything that feels overwhelming, a sensation, an emotion, any kind of stressor. For example, you might move back and forth between a speech you have to give and the rise and fall of the ocean waves, which is a resource. So a resource is anything or anyone that helps you feel calm, safe, happy, protected, right? That could be a pet, a favorite place, a person, a character from a movie, anything that feels good. Even a memory. So let's try it out. Think of something positive, something that helps you feel calm, and put it over here. Now notice how thinking of this helps you feel in your body. What do you notice? Does it help you feel calm? If it does, just cross your hands in front of your chest. Tap one shoulder and the other in a very slow tap. Just notice. How does that feel in my body? To think of that positive thing. Just tap in that resource. Good. So you can stop tapping. Now, think of that sensation that you were just feeling in your body and put it over here. Or maybe you want to pick a stressor, like an exam or something. Notice how this makes you feel in your body. Now go back and forth between the two things, staying on the positive until it calms you before going back to the sensation or stressor. You can even look over here and then look over here, letting your eyes track back and forth. You can even close your eyes if that makes you feel more comfortable. Right? Just going back and forth, staying on the positive and then touching on that negative, coming back to the positive. Right? Just touching on that stressor. So what are you noticing? You might notice a little bit of more capacity to feel that negative sensation or the stressor or deal with it. You might notice some calm. You might notice even some evenness between the two things. Give it some time and practice. And I bet you'll find that it's helpful. There's my stressors. Okay. Now, the coolest thing about this somatic tracking skill is that you can use it to regulate other people's nervous systems as well as your own. And you'll do this by using mirror neurons in your brain. So mirror neurons are in action when yawning becomes contagious or watching someone laugh makes us smile. So when someone around us is dysregulated or upset, we actually begin to feel the sensations that they feel in their bodies in ours, which is why sometimes you might want to fix someone's upset or run for the hills when someone's upset. It causes upset for you. But all we have to do is actually track sensations in our bodies, ride the wave over the peak, and watch our friends and parents and teachers calm down. Cool, right? That is a serious superpower. So as you practice and learn how to regulate your own nervous system, you can also begin to practice regulating others. Sometimes, though, it can be hard to regulate our own emotions and we need help, and that is totally okay. That's true for adults and kids, even more so the younger you are. We just need to find people that can be calm and hold space without trying to fix what's wrong with us. We can even ask for what we need specifically. For example, you might say, "Hey, I need to vent or cry or be angry. Can you just sit there and listen?" Or, "Man, I'm really upset. Can you sit with me until I calm down, but no advice?" And a good question to ask a friend who's upset is, "Do you want me to listen or do you want me to give advice?" Right? Okay, that is all I've got for you guys today. Thanks for listening. Good luck with regulating those very normal nervous systems. Thanks. I'm Beth Brown. You can find me on Instagram at Find Your Stillwater. Have a good one.